Welcome to section 4.3, where we will focus on health and safety auditing. We have already discussed several methods of active monitoring, such as inspections and tours. An audit is another form of active monitoring, but it is generally considered the most systematic, formal, and comprehensive. While an inspection typically focuses on the physical condition of the workplace to spot immediate hazards, an audit takes a much deeper and broader view. It is a systematic examination of an organization's entire health and safety management system. An audit doesn't just ask, is the workplace safe today? It asks, is the system that we have designed to manage safety working effectively, efficiently, and reliably? In this section, we will explore exactly what an audit entails. We will define the process, distinguish it clearly from an inspection, look at the different stages involved from preparation to reporting, and discuss the different types of audits an organization might use. Understanding the principles of auditing is essential for anyone involved in managing safety, as it is a key tool for measuring performance, ensuring compliance, and driving continual improvement. Introduction to auditing. Auditing is the structured process of collecting independent information on the efficiency, effectiveness, and reliability of the total safety and health management system and drawing up plans for corrective action. Definition: auditing is the systematic, critical examination of an organization's health and safety management systems and procedures. The purpose of an audit and why defining its scope is a critical first step. The primary purpose of an audit is to evaluate how well health and safety is being managed by comparing actual practice against a set of standards. These standards, often called audit criteria, could be the company's own policies and procedures, the requirements of a national law, like the Factories Act, 1948, or an international standard such as ISO 45001. The audit process then seeks to identify both the organization's strengths and weaknesses. A good audit is balanced. It will highlight areas of conformity and good practice, which can be celebrated and shared, as well as areas of non-conformity and vulnerability that require attention. The main outcome of the audit is a formal report to the management. This report presents the auditor's findings, supported by objective evidence. Crucially, it should be accompanied by recommendations or action plans that allow the management to address the identified weaknesses and manage health and safety more successfully. Before any audit begins, it is essential to define its scope. The scope sets the boundaries of the audit. You must ask key questions to define these boundaries. Topics: will the audit cover only safety, or will it also include health, welfare, and environmental issues? Area: will it cover the entire worksite in Puducherry, or just one specific department like the warehouse? Process: will it look at a specific process, such as the permit to work system or the management of change procedure? Depth: how comprehensive will it be? Is it a full system audit or a more focused check on a few key areas? By clearly defining the scope at the planning stage, you ensure that both the auditor and the department being audited, the auditee, have a clear understanding of the objectives, boundaries, and expectations for the audit. This allows the process to be focused, efficient, and effective. A very common point of confusion by clearly distinguishing between a health and safety audit and a health and safety inspection. While both are essential active monitoring techniques, they serve different purposes and look at different things. A health and safety audit is a systematic assessment of the health and safety management systems. It is a top-down examination that checks if the organization's overall arrangements for managing safety are adequate and effective. An audit primarily looks for evidence of conformity to documented standards, interviewing people to check their awareness and understanding of their roles and responsibilities. Assessing documents like the HSE policy, risk assessments, safe systems of work, SSOW, and permits to work, PTW, to see if they are suitable and sufficient. Verifying records to confirm that planned activities, such as maintenance, training, and statutory examinations, have actually been completed. In contrast, a health and safety inspection is a more hands-on examination of the physical workplace, equipment, and processes. It is a bottom-up activity primarily focused on hazard identification. An inspector walks around the workplace looking for unsafe conditions, like damaged equipment or blocked fire exits, and unsafe acts, like people not wearing PPE. The goal of an inspection is to spot these hazards so that controls can be put in place to mitigate the risks immediately. The perfect summary: inspection is concerned with hazard identification, whereas auditing is linked to the systems that manage the prevention and control of hazards. An inspection finds the leaking oil on the floor, an audit investigates why the maintenance and housekeeping systems failed to prevent and address the leak. The first and most critical stage of the audit process, pre-audit preparations. Thorough planning is the foundation upon which a successful audit is built. It ensures the audit will be conducted efficiently, systematically, and will achieve its intended objectives. Rushing into an audit without proper preparation will almost certainly lead to a disorganized process and an unreliable outcome. A number of key elements should be clearly defined before the audit begins. Let's look at each of these planning steps. The scope of the audit. This defines what will be audited. For example, is the audit assessing compliance with the company's internal safety procedures, or with the full requirements of the ISO 45001 standard? The area of the audit. This defines where the audit will take place. Will it cover the entire organization, or will it be limited to a specific site, like the Puducherry facility, or even just one department within that facility? The extent of the audit. This defines the depth and detail of the examination. Will it be a comprehensive, deep dive into every aspect of the system, or will it be a more focused audit looking at a representative sample of activities and records? These three elements, scope, area, and extent, work together to establish the clear boundaries of the audit. Personnel requirements. This involves planning the who. Who will be on the audit team? What skills and experience do they need? Equally important, who from the department being audited, the auditees, needs to be available for interviews, and when. This requires careful scheduling to ensure minimum disruption to operations. Gathering information. A professional auditor will often request key documents before arriving on site. This preliminary information gathering allows the auditor to familiarize themselves with the organization's management system, policies, and procedures in advance. This preparation helps them to develop a more focused audit plan and checklists, making the on-site part of the audit much more efficient. Competence of the auditors. An audit is only as good as the people who conduct it. To be effective, an auditor must be competent, which means they need the right blend of knowledge, training, and experience. Two key areas of competence: familiarity with work practices. The auditor must understand the industry and the specific types of work processes they are auditing. This is essential for them to be able to assess risks and evaluate the practicality of control measures. Familiarity with audit techniques. The auditor must be skilled in the audit process itself. This includes knowing how to plan an audit, develop checklists, conduct interviews, gather objective evidence, evaluate findings against the audit criteria, and write a clear, concise, and useful report. This competence is often demonstrated through formal qualifications, such as being a certified ISO 45001 lead auditor. Time and resources. An audit is a serious and in-depth undertaking and it should not be treated lightly. Management must commit to providing the necessary time and resources for the audit to be conducted properly. Time. Rushing an audit is a false economy. Sufficient time must be allocated for every stage: planning and document review, the on-site visit for observations and interviews, and the final analysis and report writing. If auditors are under pressure to finish quickly, they may cut corners, leading to a superficial audit that misses significant issues. Resources. This can include providing a budget to hire external auditors, making key personnel available for interviews, and giving the audit team access to all the necessary areas, documents, and records they need to see. Without this commitment from management, the audit cannot be successful. Now we will move forward in the audit process, explaining what happens during the audit and in closing the audit. During the audit is the on-site evidence gathering phase. The auditor's goal is to collect sufficient objective evidence to be able to draw reliable conclusions about the management system's performance. Physical observation. The auditor will walk around the work areas to observe the physical conditions and how work is actually being carried out. They match the procedures that are written down. Interviewing people. The auditor will talk to a cross-section of employees, from senior managers to frontline workers. This helps them to assess the level of awareness, understanding, and commitment to health and safety throughout the organization. Verifying documents. The auditor will examine the paper trail. This involves checking records to confirm that required tasks have been done. For example, they won't just take a manager's word that training has been done. They will ask to see the signed training records. Closing the audit refers to the final stages of the process. The main output is the audit report, which formally communicates the results and outcomes to management. The report should be clear, concise, and factual, detailing both areas of good practice and any identified non-conformities. The report will lead to action. The slide defines two types of action. Corrective action. This is action taken to fix a problem that has been identified. It addresses an existing non-conformity. For example, if the audit finds that fire extinguishers have not been inspected as required, the corrective action is to inspect them immediately and to fix the flaw in the inspection system that caused them to be missed. Preventive action. This is a more proactive step. It is action taken to address a potential weakness before it becomes a non-conformity. For example, the audit might notice that a new piece of legislation is coming into force soon, but the company has no plan to address it. The preventive action would be to develop a plan to ensure compliance before the law takes effect. The audit records are a formal part of the overall management system documentation. These records are not just the final audit report. They constitute the entire audit trail, which can include the initial audit plan and scope definition, checklists and notes made by the auditors during the on-site visit, copies of documents and records reviewed as evidence, the formal audit report, including the list of findings, conformities and non-conformities, the corrective and preventive action plans generated from the audit findings, evidence that these actions have been completed and verified. The organization must also establish retention times for these records. This means deciding how long the records need to be kept. This decision should not be arbitrary. The retention time should comply with legal requirements. A mature safety management system will typically use a combination of both, as they each offer unique advantages and disadvantages. An internal audit, sometimes called a first-party audit, is conducted by the organization's own employees. It is important that these internal auditors are independent of the specific department or activity they are auditing to ensure objectivity. Advantages. As the table shows, internal auditors are already familiar with the workplace and processes, saving time. They have good awareness and practicable knowledge, which helps them to understand issues quickly. Using internal staff can also improve ownership of the findings and is generally less expensive and easier to arrange than hiring external experts. Disadvantages. Internal auditors may not possess the required auditing skills unless they have been formally trained. They may not be up to date with the latest standards and legal requirements. A significant risk is that they can become plant blind, meaning they are so used to seeing things a certain way that they may not notice certain long-standing issues. Finally, they can be internally influenced by top management, which may compromise their independence. An external audit is conducted by people from outside the organization. This could be a second-party audit, e.g., by a major customer, or a third-party audit, e.g., by an independent certification body to assess compliance with a standard like ISO 45001. Advantages. External auditors bring a fresh pair of eyes and are not subject to plant blindness. They are typically professional auditors who possess the required auditing skills and are experts in their field. They are fully independent from internal influences, which gives their findings high credibility. They are also fully up to date with current standards and legal requirements. Disadvantages. External audits are more expensive and require lots of time to plan and execute. Because the auditor is unfamiliar with the workplace, they may sometimes make unrealistic recommendations. Finally, the formal nature of an external audit can sometimes intimidate workers, making it harder to get open and honest evidence. Ultimately, both are valuable. Internal audits are excellent for regular health checks and continual improvement, while external audits provide a periodic, highly credible, and independent validation of the entire system.